Hey everybody, today we're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3. This is Double Trouble. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're talking about more Ultimate Spider-Man. This is Volume 3, Double Trouble. This is issues 14 through 21. This is all like 8 issues in here. And obviously, as you can tell from the cover, we're featuring Dr. Octopus. Although, when you actually read it, this is really like half and half with Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter is in the background and in the main story of what Peter's going through more than Doc Ock is. So it's kind of a weird juxtaposition to have Ock on the cover, and he's like the bigger Spider-Man villain as opposed to Kraven the Hunter. Also introduced in this volume, you have Gwen Stacy, the Ultimate version, and she's really like badass, and she's beating up on people. Meanwhile, Kraven the Hunter, his twist in here is that he's a television star and he's filming a reality TV show, kind of like I guess Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, back in the day in 2000s, early 2000s. Yeah, this is really where, when I was reading it, it really felt like Mark Bagley was hitting his stride with all the characters and the storytelling. It's still dense. There's still a lot of panels per page. It's still Bendis after all. It is kind of wordy, but everything moves just a little bit better in this volume. Like reading volume 1, it was fine because the first like thing. Reading volume 2, where he's going up against the Kingpin, felt a little bit like, do we like it? It just felt a little off. And I only noticed it when I read volume 3 and started to read it, as you realize, like, oh, he is 15 issues in. He's figured some stuff out of this like 111 issue run, and this is when it really started to click. At least maybe my brain was clicking into remembering, like, oh, this is the Ultimate Spider-Man style of storytelling, and that you're going to get this kind of goodness for the next 100 issues. But yeah, lots of panels per page, very fast paced because of that, and still wordy. But I'm a fast reader, so maybe that's why it's more fast paced for me. I don't know. I've always read things really fast, so when they're slow and there's very few things per page, I feel like it's a waste of money. Whereas things like this with Bendis, most of his books are kind of wordy, and there's a lot going on in them. That's why maybe I do like Bendis more than some other people do, because I feel like I'm getting a good value for my time because I'm such a fast reader. But everybody varies. Your mileage may vary. This may take you a long time to read because it's almost 8 issues and it's very wordy and there's a lot of panels. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but that's not to say it's a bad book. This is the best volume so far of the 3 that we've read. But yeah, Doc Ock's in here. He's wearing like a green bodysuit kind of thing. No trench coat, no yellow, just pure green. And the difference here with his design, I'll just point him out as we go along through the series probably, is his arms all come from the front, not his back. So he's a little bit more direct, I guess. His arms aren't going around everything. They're just coming like straight at you. So that's interesting. They also are a little nebulous of like what they're made out of, because they have different forms. Sometimes they're hands, sometimes they're bulbs. This one all of a sudden can electrocute Peter. So they're a little more like feral fluid in that way. But it's not quite defined like exactly what they were to begin with. And then you have Kraven finally putting on a suit in the last issue. And I won't spoil what happens, but let's just say Brian Michael Bendis doesn't think much of Kraven the Hunter, and you can tell by reading this volume. So I have had the most fun reading this one so far. Just because you're in the flow, the storytelling's clicking, the characters are clicking. Like, this is where they're starting to click as a team, Bendis and Bagley. And it shows, because this is the most fun to read so far. So there you have it. Highly encourage you, go seek out this version of Ultimate Spider-Man. It's a reason it's a classic. There is a reason it's a classic, and this is the reason it's so good. However, it's kind of a disservice that Marvel hasn't kept up with the printing of these things. Even like the complete collections, they're finally doing the omnibus stuff, which seems like the new hot shit. But in terms of keeping older books in print that are more affordable for older readers or younger readers, newer readers, whatever, they're lacking in that. So you may have to find a library that has them all, or use the bookstores where I found a lot of these more recently when I decided, hey, I want to have the entire Ultimate Spider-Man run, not in omnibus format, because I knew I could wait for that, but I only have one omnibus. You saw the dang video with the Paul Dini one, but not really like gravitated towards that format. Mainly also because like my comic book channel here, BK's Bullets, it's a review show. Like, this is what we do. We talk about books. So if it takes me forever to read an omnibus, there will be no videos that frequently. So that's why I like the trade paperbacks and hardcovers. They're shorter. I can talk about them more often. I can read them more quickly and get videos out for you guys. But yeah, so that's just my rant, my complaint that Marvel hasn't been keeping these up to print. And even in comic shops nowadays, at least in my area in Florida here, you go into comic shops and you will find the stuff maybe from the last 10 years, but anything older than that will be far and few between unless they're like the evergreens. And for whatever reason, Marvel does not view Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis and Bagley as an evergreen, which is a mistake. They absolutely should. It is a wonderful run, and this is something that you should be handing to new readers as they come in more often than not, because it is so good. Especially with the PS5 Spider-Man games. Like, hey, you like those Spider-Man games made by Insomniac? You're going to love this book. It's very similar and also very different, so you're going to get something different from it. That would be my sales pitch, as to why to reprint these things in a regular trade paperback size or, ultimate collection. Hell, even a compendium, for crying out loud. A thicker trade, call it a compendium, whatever you want, would be better than the nothing we have right now. So maybe in the modern Epic collection we'll get some of those. And since some of mine are so beat up, I'll refresh some of those. But yeah, one can hope. So let me know what you thought of this volume down below in the comments, guys, and we'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.